Persia, now known as Iran, is a fascinating country that has been an important power since before the foundation of Rome and even since the dawn of civilization. Even today, it shapes the politics of the Middle East and the world. This documentary will delve into the origins of Persia and what made it so successful and unique among the great civilizations of the world. If this is your first time on the channel, subscribe now so you don't miss any important content about the darker chapters of our history. The area of present-day Iran, historical Persia, has been inhabited since prehistory and also saw some of the first agricultural villages around 7200 BC, in particular Gagan Golan and Gak Bonnet in the Zagros Mountains in the west of the region that forms the western border of present-day Iran. From these sites, we know that barley, lentils, and various legumes were cultivated. The culture of the region has been deeply intertwined with that of Mesopotamia, modern-day Iraq. One of the first Sumerian cities, Uruk, is believed to have extended eastward, creating the city of Susa before or even earlier than 3000 BC, or Anshan, the capital of Elam, which was an important economic and commercial center in ancient Persia and remained relevant until its destruction by the Mongols 5,500 years after its founding. Elam, instead of being a modern nation-state, was probably a coalition of mountain tribes. Its Mesopotamian name, Al-Tami, refers to its elevated location and characteristic mountain-dwelling people, in contrast to the people of the Western Plains. The rugged terrain of Elam was not suitable for extensive agriculture, which led to a lifestyle based on semi-nomadic pastoralism and limited agriculture. This made Elamite culture more resilient compared to the agricultural civilizations of the plains. The rivalry between the people of the mountains and the plains has persisted for millennia, including the Iran-Iraq conflict in the 1980s. The Elamite language, still not fully translated, appears to be unique in the region. Recent advances in translation could reveal more about this ancient culture. Elamite art focused on animals and reflected a polytheistic religion centered on nature and a mother goddess, with religious practices that would influence the later Zoroastrianism. Elam had a great respect for women, representing them as equals in their art, a feature that would persist in Persia. Although Elam was invaded and conquered by various powerful neighbors such as the Sumerians and Babylonians, it continued to be an important commercial center. Elam traded extensively with regions as distant as the Indus Valley and Afghanistan, integrating into trade networks that would become part of the Silk Road. Elam's power waned with the arrival of Iranian or Aryan nomads from the Eurasian steppes, who eventually intermingled with the Elamites. Despite Iranian dominance, Elam's cultural and administrative influence persisted, and its language continued to be used in administration for a time. One of these Iranian groups, the Medes, began to govern the region under the banner of the first Iranian emperor, Eleusis, who reigned from 727 to 677 BC, according to Herodotus. To give you an idea, the highly embellished accounts of the 300 Spartans who fought against Persia come from Herodotus, so it is possible that he wasn't actually the ruler of all of Iraq. Persia, now known as Iran, is a country with a rich history that dates back to ancient times, being one of the first great civilizations of the world. The area of present-day Iran, historical Persia, has been inhabited since prehistory and was home to some of the first agricultural villages in 7200 BC. Known for its mountainous terrain, Persia had a culture deeply intertwined with Mesopotamia, and one of its first important cities, Susa, became the capital of Elam, the first defined nation in what would become Persia. Elam was a coalition of mountain peoples and tribes, and its culture stood out for its focus on animals and art and its polytheistic religion with a strong emphasis on nature and a mother goddess. The respect for women was notable in Elam, where they were represented as equals to men, a characteristic that would endure in Persian culture. Over time, the Iranian or Aryan nomads from the Eurasian steppes began to intermingle with the Elamites. One of these Iranian groups, the Medes, began to rule the region, largely unifying in response to the oppression of the Assyrian Empire. However, it would be Cyrus the Great, leading the Persians, who would form the First Persian Empire, also known as the Achaemenid Empire, after revolting against the Medes in 553 BC. Cyrus the Great unified the Iranian people and created an efficient central administration with governors called satraps, who were overseen by a network of spies known as the Eyes of the King. His empire respected the cultures and religions of the conquered peoples and had an advanced postal system. Cyrus is remembered as a benevolent leader and an effective conqueror who created the largest empire of his time with minimal bloodshed. The Persian Empire founded by Cyrus would be expanded by his son and by Darius I, who extended its domains to Egypt and the Indus Valley. Darius also created the hydraulic system of Susa and expanded the use of qanats, an ingenious system of underground channels for irrigation. Persia is also credited with the invention of several cultural elements, such as backgammon and the development of the guitar. Although the Persian Empire declined after the wars with Greece and the conquest by Alexander the Great, its cultural and administrative legacy endured. Alexander the Great, king of Macedonia and disciple of Aristotle, ascended to the throne in 336 BC and carried out a series of notable conquests. In 334 BC, he invaded the Persian Empire and defeated Darius III at the Battle of Issus. He continued his campaigns, conquering Egypt and founding Alexandria in 331 BC, then defeated Darius again at the Battle of Gaugamela in 331 BC, which led to the collapse of the Persian Empire. After Alexander's death in 323 BC, his empire was divided into several Hellenistic kingdoms. His cultural and political influence extended through the Mediterranean and Asia, establishing Greek as the key language for trade and culture in the Near East and Iran. Greek culture fused with Iranian and Zoroastrian elements. The Parthians, who rebelled against Seleucid rule and founded their own empire, combined Greek and Buddhist influences, competing with Rome and adopting an aristocratic government. After the fall of the Parthians, the Sassanid Empire emerged, centered around Zoroastrianism and the Silk Road, maintaining Persian influence even after being replaced by the Muslim Arabs. The division between Shia and Sunni Muslims arose from disagreements over the succession of Muhammad. Shia Muslims believe that Ali, Muhammad's cousin, was his successor, while Sunnis maintain that Abu Bakr, designated by a council, was the legitimate successor. This dispute led to theological and cultural differences, with Iran as the leader of the Shia world, in contrast to Sunni dominance in the rest of the Muslim world. The Umayyad Caliphate was replaced by the Abbasid Caliphate, which integrated Persian culture and administration. With the help of an Iranian general, they founded Baghdad in 762, turning it into an important center of learning that preserved and spread Persian, Roman, and Greek texts. The Abbasids also promoted scientific and technological advances like the sextant and gunpowder, and produced notable literature such as 1001 Nights. However, their control over distant territories weakened over time, extending to India by 326 BC, but their tired army forced them to return. The Mongol invasions that began with the destruction of Baghdad in 1258 marked the end of the Islamic Golden Age. The Mongols destroyed many cities and irrigation systems, making several urban centers and farmlands uninhabitable. During the Mongol occupation, most of the invaders converted to Islam, showing a preference for Sufism due to its affinity with the animist and Buddhist beliefs of the Mongols. Persia began to recover under the Ilkhanate Mongol, but was later devastated by the Black Death in 1349, which killed 30% of the population, and the invasion of Timur, Tamerlane, in 1381, a conqueror known for his brutality. The Persian Empire is recognized today as one of the most dominant and powerful empires in history, having made numerous integral contributions to the world in areas ranging from industry to culture. If you've made it this far and learned something new from our stories, subscribe and activate the bell so you don't miss our next videos. Together we can discover and remember the truths that history often tries to hide.